Welcome to this explainer. Today, we are diving into one of the most elegant, yet honestly kind of underappreciated structures in the human body. We're talking about the central superhighway of your nervous system, the spinal cord. Now, it's super tempting to just think of it as a basic biological cable, right? Just a wire connecting your brain to your toes. But actually, it is a highly complex, deeply integrative command center all on its own. Let's unpack exactly how this incredible piece of engineering works. So here's our route for today. First, we'll meet your central superhighway. Next, we'll break down the architecture of gray versus white matter. After that, we'll explore the sensory-motor split. And finally, we'll wrap up by looking at the historical Bell-Magendie law.
All right, let's jump straight into section 1, meet your central superhighway, where we'll look at the dual role of the spinal cord.
So looking at the big picture, the spinal cord is a massive piece of your central nervous system. It starts right at the base of your skull, at a spot called the foramen magnum, and travels all the way down your back, terminating around the L1 to L2 vertebral level. And hey, quick fun fact for you, this is exactly why lumbar punctures or spinal taps are routinely done below this level. It lets doctors safely grab cerebral spinal fluid without risking any damage to the cord itself. Now, functionally, this highway handles two major jobs. First, it's the ultimate communication pathway. It conducts sensory impulses up to your brain and shoots motor commands right back down to your muscles. But second, it acts as an independent integrative center for rapid reflexes. Think about it. When you accidentally touch a hot stove, your spinal cord coordinates that jerking motion completely on its own. It literally bypasses the brain to save you those crucial milliseconds. Pretty amazing, right? Moving right along to section 2, gray versus white matter. Let's dig into the actual physical architecture of this highway.
If you were to look at a cross-section of the spinal cord, you'd instantly notice a really distinct architectural divide between gray matter and white matter. The gray matter sits right smack in the center, and it forms this cool butterfly or H shape. Now, it doesn't have myelin, which is why it looks gray, and it's just densely packed with neuronal cell bodies and interneurons. Basically, this makes it the spinal cord's primary processing hub. It receives sensory data in the dorsal horns and organizes the motor output in the ventral horns. Surrounding that busy processing center is the white matter, which acts as your physical transit system. This part is made up of massive bundles of axons called tracts. Because these axons are wrapped in a lipid-rich myelin sheath, which acts like biological insulation, the tissue looks white. And that insulation is absolutely crucial because it guarantees high-speed signal transmission for both the sensory data going up and the motor commands coming down.
This brings us to section 3, the sensory-motor split. We're talking distinct paths for incoming and outgoing traffic. You know, this setup is just brilliantly engineered to completely avoid neurological traffic jams. There is a hard, totally non-negotiable functional separation between your sensory and motor pathways. Sensory fibers, which bring in all that vital info about body position and pain, bundle together and exclusively enter the spinal cord through the dorsal root, right at the back. Motor commands, on the other hand, originate in the gray matter and strictly exit through the ventral root at the front of the cord. So it's basically a perfectly engineered one-way street. Sensory data comes in the back, motor commands go out the front. No exceptions. Let's actually trace the journey of a signal through this infrastructure step by step. Step 1, sensory input arrives from your environment, traveling right through that dorsal root. Then, for step 2, that data hits the central gray matter, our processing hub, where it gets integrated. And in some cases, collateral branches will even cross over to influence the completely opposite side of a body. Finally, step 3, the resulting motor commands leave that central hub, exiting via the ventral root to trigger your muscles or glands. It's just a flawlessly ordered sequence. And the crazy part is, it's happening millions of times a second inside you right now. Okay, section 4, the Bell-Magendie law. Now, it's super easy for us to map this anatomy out today, right? But just imagine being a physician back in the early 1800s, desperately trying to figure out why some patients lost the ability to feel while others lost the ability to move. It was a massive puzzle. Deciphering this traffic system was an absolute watershed moment in medical history. Back in 1811, Charles Bell did some really pioneering experimental work that first hinted at this anatomical separation. Then, just over a decade later in 1822, François Magendie independently confirmed it. Working from different angles, together they definitively proved the one-way nature of the dorsal and ventral roots. This 19th century breakthrough literally modernized medicine overnight. Clinicians suddenly had a real roadmap. If a patient showed up with paralysis but could still feel pain perfectly fine, doctors could pinpoint exactly which spinal roots were damaged. For the very first time, they could accurately localize neurological injuries. A real game changer. And so this defining principle became known as the Bell-Magendie law. It's the fundamental golden rule dictating that dorsal roots in the spinal cord are exclusively sensory and ventral roots are exclusively motor. This elegantly simple law is still the absolute bedrock of our understanding when it comes to spinal cord organization. It's what brings order to the billions of impulses racing through your body every single day. Section 1. The body's secret map. Decoding the control board. So the magic number here is 31. Your spinal cord isn't just one continuous cable. It shows a highly specific segmental organization. Basically, it's divided into exactly 31 segments. And from each of these 31 segments, a specific pair of spinal nerves emerges, acting like dedicated, localized control wires, reaching out to very specific regions of your body. Think of it like a highly systematic mapping system, where every single segment is entirely responsible for a corresponding piece of your physical real estate. Now, why does this matter to you? Well, it brilliantly illustrates how medical professionals actually use this setup. Because of these 31 specific segments, doctors can literally use your body as a living diagnostic map. This is known as clinical localization. If you lose sensation in a very specific skin region, which clinicians call a dermatome, they don't have to just blindly guess where the problem is. They can trace that physical glitch on your skin straight back to the exact corresponding spinal segment that's damaged. It's just an incredibly precise, built-in tracking system. Section 2. Tracing the wiring glitch. Crossed wires in the dark. Okay, so the crucial point here is understanding a wild phenomenon called referred pain. Because your internal organs don't have their own direct sensory representation in the spinal cord, they kind of have to share. When your internal organs are hurting, those distress signals travel up to the same exact spinal segment that supplies a specific patch of your skin. This essentially hijacks the skin's sensory pathways. It totally tricks you into feeling the pain right on your skin, or even in a completely different muscle, rather than deep inside where the organ actually is. It's a fascinating crossed wire in the dark. Section 3. The autonomous cord, the brain's silent partner. Now here's where the story gets really incredible. Your spinal cord is absolutely not just a passive highway of cables aimlessly sending messages up to the brain. Not at all. It contains its own localized neural circuits that carry out automatic decisions, completely without waiting for conscious control. It has true, undeniable autonomy. We actually have the pioneering detective Charles Sherrington to thank for this creepy but cool realization. His work demonstrated that even when the spinal cord is totally separated from the brain, it can still perform vital functions. The body can essentially move, coordinate basic motor patterns for locomotion, maintain posture, and even protect itself. It really proves just how independent this hidden mastermind is for our quick, automatic survival. Section 4. The reflex dance, choreographing survival. To really see this independent mastermind in action, let's look at what happens when you accidentally step on something sharp. You know the feeling. We're going to look at two simultaneous reactions, the flexion or withdrawal reflex and the extensor reflex. These are lightning-fast responses coordinated entirely at the level of the spinal cord. Your brain hasn't even registered the ouch yet, but your spinal cord is already taking decisive action to save you. Let's break down this beautifully macabre automatic sequence. Step 1, you step on that sharp object, instantly activating your pain receptors. Step 2, the flexion reflex immediately kicks in, causing that affected leg to aggressively flex inward, withdrawing away from the dangerous stimulus. But hold on, if you just aggressively pull one leg up out of nowhere, you'd fall right over, right? So step 3 kicks in at the exact same fraction of a second. The extensor reflex triggers in your opposite limb, instantly extending it outward to catch your weight, support your body, and maintain your balance. All of this rapid, perfectly coordinated magic happens without requiring a single drop of immediate input from your brain. So, to wrap up our explainer for today, let's quickly review our mastermind's resume. We learned that the 31-segment spinal map allows doctors to precisely localize nerve damage. We saw how shared segments explain that crazy wiring glitch of referred pain, where organs literally hijack your skin's pain pathways. We discovered, thanks to Sherrington's work, that the cord acts as an independent entity, fully capable of complex motor patterns. And finally, we saw it act as an independent guardian, executing those rapid protective flexion and extensor reflexes to keep us upright and safe.